Hello.
Welcome to our Monday vlog. So we hope everybody's had a great week. We took a little bit of some time off last week. We had an awesome time together in our discipleship group. We love them. We love each other. So we just wanted to encourage you guys last week to really pursue community with whoever it was that you connect with on a regular basis to kind of share your celebrations in your faith and in your journey and your struggles, to pray over each other and just kind of rock and roll with life. So, but we did say that we would tackle emotional porn. That's our topic today. So we're pretty excited. Again, Lisa Wells, our pastor at our church at North Harbor, she is our lead pastor Dan's wife. We've been doing a series on sexuality, and it's been called Beautiful and Dangerous, and she did a sermon specifically geared towards women and what we struggle with in regards to sexuality and shame and lies. And one of the things she brought up was emotional porn, which was pretty interesting. I had never really thought about what that looks like. So we're going to chat about that today and how to avoid those pitfalls.
Yeah, that was the one area that I knew would come up in her sermon that I really didn't want to come up because, you can feel pretty good about women's sexuality because we're just not as commonly caught in the trap of pornography or in other, we think of men's sexuality as where a lot of the bad stuff comes in. But for me, I get caught up in the escapism of romantic comedies and trash TV like The Bachelor, and just really feeling convicted about the idea of consumption to meet your needs rather than connection with God. Yeah. I don't know if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, no, I definitely did. When I was kind of on the way here this morning, I was really thinking about, what does it look like to define emotional porn? So for me, I think of the word emotional, and that entails all the things that we feel, whether that's anger, fear, joy, surprise, I don't know, fill in the blank with any emotion. And then I think of pornography not simply as the act of visually looking at something and then physically masturbating. Yeah, said that. Deal with it. That's what I used to define it as. But the more I think about what pornography is, it's any media source, okay? So any media, whether it's, Facebook, whether it's Twitter, anything that we're looking at, online, movies, film, books, magazines, anything that's considered media that we go to satisfy ourselves in a selfish and consuming way because we want to escape from having to connect with either God and or our spouse. And so we use that pornography. It doesn't have to be naked. It can be anything that we use media-wise to escape from reality in a consumptive, selfish way. So what do I mean by that? You have a fight with your husband, and you're feeling very vulnerable, very hurt, very angry. Instead of taking those emotional feelings to God and then back to your husband to work through it, you sit down, slap on some Netflix, and watch the whole first season of Grey's Anatomy, and are fantasizing the whole time about what it would be like to be Meredith with Derek. I wish I was Meredith. He's so gorgeous. Right? So you're connecting with something emotionally and consuming it in a fantasy because you want to escape from connecting with your spouse or God. Pretty heavy. And Jesus actually says that anybody that looks at someone, we're not even talking physically yet, anybody that looks at somebody with a heart of lust. So what is lust? That's when we consume something because we want to pleasure ourselves with it. So if you look at someone with lust, with a consumptive fantasy, I want that, I wish I had it, I don't have it, I hate what I have, you've committed adultery. It's pretty heavy. Am I guilty of that? Heck yes, totally. It's really hard because the church talks about pornography in terms of men, and I'm not saying that women don't consume internet porn where people are acting out sexual acts.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we don't do that either, and that's obviously wrong. But this whole thing with emotional porn, I think we're a lot more guilty of. I'm a lot more guilty of, because again, I'm not physically acting out. I'm not physically masturbating, so it makes it okay, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't, because Jesus says, without even the physical, when we've crossed that line lust-wise, we've sinned, and not to be legalistic or guilty, but what that does to us is it distorts our image. Mm-hmm. It takes away who we are and who we're meant to be. You know what I mean?
And something I've noticed is when I'm going through some big crisis in my life, boom, I'm with God, I'm in His Word, I'm talking to people, I'm seeking counsel, and I'm just fully, engaged with connecting with God and seeking out answers. But when things are pretty good is when I get really lazy, and I'm, end of the day, putting on the TV, catching up with The Bachelor, and getting a lot more, comfortable with the way things are, instead of, still having that fire and pursuit of God. And so I think that's what we have to be careful with. In celebrating Lent, my husband and I have been fasting from lunch and from entertainment media. And a couple things are really standing out. Number one, even in fasting, we still have far more nourishment in our day than most of the world, which is really sad when I'm starving to death and I can't, make it through one meal a day. Mm-hmm. And then number two, that whole just really thinking about consumption in the areas of my life where I'm consuming rather than, connecting and living off of spiritual bread and spiritual life rather than, physical, tangible things, and even intangible things like fantasizing with romantic comedies. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stuff to think about.
And we don't want to be legalistic here. Don't get us wrong. We don't think it's wrong at all if you enjoy entertainment media, to watch Grey's Anatomy or to watch The Bachelor, or I don't know, if it's not leading you into a place of discontentment where you feel like you want to fantasize and consume, who cares? That's totally fine. Don't even worry about it. It's really important that you seek your heart. David in Psalms, I think it's in Psalms, he talks about God, try my heart, look into my heart and see if there's any evil that's in there that needs to be done away with. So, we are super not here to condemn. We're not here to give you black and whites of what you should be watching and what you shouldn't be. That's up to you and your walk with the Holy Spirit. But I want to challenge you guys, every single one of you, to really think this week about when you're sitting down to read or watch TV or movies or anything. Really think about if you're using this in a way to connect with other people, to connect with God, or if you're using it to escape and fantasize and consume. Because if you're in the latter part of my comment, you really need to do some searching out with your heart on, maybe what it is or why it is that you're feeling like you need to do that so you can be free. We want you to be free. We don't want you to have shame or guilt or any kind of anything that can really hurt you in the long run, because again, like I said, if there's this feeling of discontent and we start in our mind and we don't get our mind right, eventually we've already set ourselves up to act out. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Kind of we've thought about it. So, it might not happen tomorrow, but a couple years, if you've had that habit and you have the opportunity to connect with someone of the opposite sex in an emotional way, that's where most affairs begin, is right there. It's a dangerous slope to even think you can control. I don't know. So for me, I try. I have really ridiculous amounts of honesty. If I think somebody's attractive or cute at all, I immediately tell my husband. It's kind of weird. Maybe not everybody needs to do that, but I do. So I'll tell him. I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I thought that person was really cute. That's all." And then he'll be like, "Okay, awesome. You recognize their beauty. That's okay. You don't have to tell me every time, but I feel like I have to." So just because, I really believe in keeping short accounts with sin. And I expect that from him too. I really expect from my husband that he gives that back to me and I give that to him, just so there isn't any occasion for Satan to grab hold of anything and root it into us. Does that, I know that's kind of weird, but again, these are just ideas of what I do. It might not be for everybody, but it's really helped me to know that my husband isn't going to judge me. He's not going to condemn me. He's going to embrace me just like I do him with his struggles with our over emotionally physical porn society where we just want to consume.
And we just wanted to, that was an area of conviction for us from Lisa's sermon, and just wanted to be vulnerable and put it out there and see, we know we're not the only ones.
Yep. So be encouraged. Be encouraged to get right with Jesus and know that you're not alone. Remember we talked about, too, that shame that you feel when you've been, quote unquote, found out can cause you to feel more silence. And we want to give a voice to that shame in our own lives so we can be vulnerable with you guys and really, again, pierce that darkness with light, so Satan doesn't get to win. He doesn't get to have a win in our lives with emotional pornography or physical pornography if you're struggling with that. So go and walk in light and truth and forgiveness and hope, and know that we're praying for you guys, and we're hoping to get Lisa, I'm thinking probably next week, if she's not busy. We really want to do an interview with Lisa and kind of just have her walk through her sermon. So listen to her sermon. If you have any questions, Facebook us. We would love to get some questions from you guys that maybe you'd have in regards to her sermon series, so she can answer them for you guys.
Yeah, we posted it here on our page with the jellyfish. It's number 5 in the series.
Yep. So, so walk in truth. Go pierce some darkness with light. And we love you guys.
We love you. Have a good week.